why, despite fear-based selling, I still am not anti-American. Welcome back to the Trelling Report, where today we're going to show you why anti-American rhetoric actually hurts your business and why saying the truth inherently makes you more money over the long term. So, as many of you know, I was born in the United States. I was born in a city called Columbia, Missouri, which is known for the University of Missouri. This inherently gave me a large advantage in life, and I believe truly that those who are born in the United States are indeed lucky. The reason why they're lucky is not necessarily because of the government, because of politics, but it's because of the opportunities they are afforded at a very young age. I do not know many countries where you are celebrated and accepted starting a business at 9, like I did. However, the United States creates odd social cohesion surrounding individualism, and this social cohesion creates large amounts of potential for growing your wealth, growing your health, and growing your happiness. While I think that it is good to leave the United States eventually, I think that realistically, if you want an opportunity-driven society, the United States is one of the most opportunistic societies in the world. And while many people are selling this BS that, oh, the US is going to fall, the US is on its way down, and that may be true. Right now, the disposable incomes are the highest in the world, which makes business some of the easiest to do. And while many people are chasing flags blindly, I am intentional about who I believe to be the most trustworthy. And who I believe to be the most trustworthy isn't a person, it is numbers. And numbers do not have a tendency to lie. Only the data being manipulated by human beings do numbers lie. And this is something that is incredibly telling. The statistical probabilities of numbers being messed up and messed with are very high if you listen to people, but they're very low if you look at the data from academia, from research studies. And as I've grown my team, we have truly tried to research on what makes these things tick, so to speak. And so our research and development has inherently gone through large amounts of iteration and large amounts of growth. And it's with that it becomes very easy to think that you are behind while also being ahead. And so growing as a business, you also have to look at numbers. And as any business owner will tell you, it's not emotion that drives a business. It's pure data. And my philosophy is the same towards government, towards countries, and that creates a feedback loop that is very powerful in the increasingly digital world, as you can have data at your fingertips, and it's up to you whether or not you want to take advantage of that. While I think that many people are inherently bad at understanding data, I think that even if you do a little bit of understanding in data, it becomes so much clearer what is truly happening. And I use this principle throughout all of my business, all of my research. I try to stay as unbiased as possible, as the thesis shouldn't be based on what I think, but should be based on what the numbers show. If you are an American, you inherently understand that not everything that is said about America is true, especially on the media. And if you are an American, you understand that we are lied to a lot by our own government, by other governments. And so it creates a huge distrust of governments in general. However, you do not have to run away from governments if you know their games, and if you play their games better than they do. You see, governments are people too, and it's with that you can understand how to skirt regulation, how to skirt taxation. And while I'm a huge proponent of donating instead of paying taxes, I believe that morality does not come from a government, it does not come from people, it comes from data. And the data shows that poverty is being reduced. The data shows that there are alleviations of inequality, structural inequality in developing countries. However, I think that the morality in the United States is going down as youth poverty is increasing. The amount in which unemployment is happening is increasing. The amount in which states are unequal is increasing. And I think that through that lens, you kind of get more of the sense that perhaps it is a good thing to leave, but you still can appreciate, of course, what the United States stands for. And I think that that's something that many internationalization channels will not talk about, is the fact that internationalization and globalization is inherently a US thing, because the global economy runs on the US economy. And so once you understand the US economy, you can start to then understand the global economy more broadly. And so I think that selling fear is inherently a very bad tactic long term, and it will backfire on everyone who's selling fear, as inherently that is not a good long-term retention strategy. Selling fear, selling all of these things only works in short bursts. And if you look at, for example, Argentina, people have said Argentina's going to collapse, and then it did, and then it went back up, and then it collapsed. So these things are inherently cyclical, and the cyclical nature of an economy inherently dictates that the fear-based model does not support reality. It is not honest. It is very inherently dishonest, in fact. And it's with that you can, I think most of people watching my channel are very smart, and they understand that making decisions based on fear instead of data is inherently a very bad idealism. And the United States is not any worse than any other government. And in fact, because of the power it has, it may be a good system to stay within. Now, I am planning on renouncing citizenship. However, I am doing that not because I'm running away from the US. I'm planning past the US. And I will still have the ability to access the US, as I grew up there. I understand the market. I understand the loopholes. I think that if you are looking for a global strategy, that the US can be a perfectly valid strategy. However, as I said, if you want a one-on-one call on strategy, in either staying in the US, moving outside abroad, or gaining second citizenship, any of these options, feel free to comment one down below. And also, I would like to know what your views of the United States are. And if you appreciate this insight, I would appreciate a subscription. But regardless, I think that what drives people the most is having optionality, right, to choose. And for many people, they give this illusion of optionality through fear-based selling. But there isn't true optionality, as their only push is for you to give up US citizenship, go to this certain country that they don't know, the one country that is so obscure that no one would want to go to it. Perhaps they would want to go to it, but it's not phrased in a way that would make it seem appealing. Like, every country can be used, however, not every country is marketed correctly. For example, I'm looking at creating a Djibouti trust eventually, and no one's gonna think about going to Djibouti for a trust. Why would you? Because it's an African country that's sort of irrelevant. It doesn't have, great tax laws, anything like this, but it's great for privacy and also tax optimization. So it's with that you become so much more able to understand the whole world through data-driven insights. And also, I don't have anything truly to go on about in terms of like my flashy lifestyle. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I combed my hair this morning. I'm just like you. So my brand is built on trust of my information, as opposed to this, I bought this Lamborghini and I'm off on this yacht. I don't believe in those things, because those things show that your knowledge level in globalization is very surface level. If you own a car, if you own a car that's worth 500 grand, you're not really that good with money, because if you own a Rolls Royce, let's just say for a giggle, if you own a Rolls Royce and you're trying to build a brand, like, forget scaling with that 500k, you're buying a car? Why not just hire, 5 employees, 10 employees, 15 employees? So many are focused on lifestyle. Why are you focused on lifestyle if you want true freedom? If you want true freedom, your lifestyle should inherently be very private. Your lifestyle shouldn't be out in the public. But these companies sell fear and then sell luxury. And this is why I believe my company is inherently better, because you have so much less less of an issue with growth in terms of mindsets and growth in terms of baggage. My entire life is in a suitcase and a backpack. Two things. That's it. And it's with that I gain extensive mobility. I'm on the ground. I'm actually heading out in a few hours to go to a train, and I'll record videos on a train because that's how efficient my time is. Whereas so many forget that they can optimize for time, where so many forget that their time is money. And if you're giving away your time for something you do not value truly, like a Rolls Royce, like a private jet, then I'm sorry, I don't think you're that wise, and I don't think you're growing sustainable. And so with that I say we need to stop fear-based selling. We need to create data-driven selling with optimal search and optimal efficiency. So I will continue to research these topics. If you appreciate my efforts, I would appreciate a like. If you really enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a share. And if you are continuing on this journey with me, I'd appreciate a subscription down below. If you want a one-on-one call, feel free to call me at 1. Once again, this has been the Traveling Report, signing off.